Stop giving your money to woke corporations that hate you and your values. That's why I order all my men's shaving products from Jeremy Razors. Order your Precision 5 starter set today. This set comes with 4 razor blades, sharp as true, with tungsten handle and flip back trimmer. You're not in the market for razors? Jeremy Razors also has other facial products fit just for men. So you don't have to stock your bathroom with products that clean your body but stains your conscience. So shut up and shave. Go to jeremyrazors.com and use CBurns15 to save 15% off. That's jeremyrazors.com. Use my special code CBurns15 to save 15% off. Welcome back, you guys, to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host, Chawanne Burns. In this video, we're going to talk about the White House. The White House, who do you think that brought the cocaine in the White House and it was found in the West Wing? Only a few people have access to it. They say it's they actually have guests in there, but guests that were invited by the people who actually work at the White House or lives at the White House. So that's the security check for special guests. And somebody left cocaine there. And Secret Service tested it, and it tested positive for cocaine. So who do you think that left the cocaine? So we're going to talk about that the first half of the hour. We're going to get into affirmative action. Affirmative action, the Supreme Court just ruled against affirmative action being used in admitting college students. So we're going to unpack that. We're going to talk about where that actually came from. How did it end up on the desk of the Supreme Court or on the docket list? And then I'm going to give you my honest opinion about affirmative action. And do we actually need affirmative action? And then we're going to talk about the mass shootings in Philadelphia, what the narrative is, and I don't want to use narrative. It's plain as you could see it, that it was a trans shooter that actually did this mass shooting. But BLM came out and spoke against that. So we'll look at that video. And also, we're going to talk about something that's going on in Michigan. Michigan just ruled, this is a crazy law that they just passed. You'll get a $15,000 fine if you misgender someone. That's a rule or a law that this just passed in Michigan. So it doesn't matter if you have a mustache. If you identify as a woman and somebody misgender you, you can get a $15,000 fine. So we'll talk about that. Let's go to this video. This video is Corinne. Well, let's look at President Biden first. I want to share this video with him. And cancel. That President Biden, he's not all there. Can we just say that? President Biden, he is not in the sound mind. So when we ask, or when the press asks him questions, or if he's on the stage with other world leaders, he's actually was meeting with a Swedish, I guess he's with the NATO. And they asked, where did the cocaine, or how did the cocaine get into the White House? Probably totally random question, but since it's on the top of people's mind, he's going to ask that. So we're going to take a look at this video. And, like I said, President Biden, he's not all there, mentally there. So. Thank you.
All right, everybody, you can see there that the president was asked many questions, including how cocaine got into the White House, but did not answer.
How did cocaine get into the White House? Of course, he's not going to answer that. I thought that was funny. Anyway, let me show you this. This is the White House press secretary responding to some of the questions of how the cocaine got in the White House. Where did they think it came from? We all know where it came from. Let's not. We know the Biden family has a drug problem, particularly Hunter Biden. He has a drug problem. So we know how it got there. They had people at their house over the weekend, and what's his name? Hunter Biden looking all crazy. They even have a video of him looking real crazy. They made the people just, this is Twitter just going ballistic on Hunter Biden. You know, so we know where the cocaine came from. And then Ed Krasenstein, or Krasenstein, he's a journalist, and he's so liberal. You know, he put on his tweet, well, you know, people are talking about cocaine was found in the White House, blah, blah, blah. We can't just assume it came from Hunter Biden. No, we can't assume it came from Hunter Biden. And the story sounds more interesting and funny, okay? So you can't just say, hey, cocaine was found in the White House and his son has a cocaine problem. Like, come on now. We can't say, oh, it wasn't Hunter Biden. People are automatically going to assume it was Hunter Biden because they was just there. They was just there in the White House. So people are going to, and he looked all tweaked out. This is the president's son looking crazy. Looking all tweaked out.
That's if I wanted to take a walk.
Look, this is on the beach. I don't know where this came from, but I guess this is at their beach house over the weekend.
Walk.
This is Hunter Biden. And he don't got no pants on, sweating profusely.
Oh my God.
I've seen coke heads before, and they act just like that. Or crackheads. It's just like that. Really, coke heads act really like this. He don't got no pants on. Huffing and puffing. And why in the world, if it's hot outside, why you got that jacket?
Where you going?
You got beach wear on. You know, you got the beach. Like, what's wrong? And he's sweating and huffing and puffing like he got the out. So it's like you lost your pants and you taking a video of this and you expect people not to talk about you. And cocaine was found in the White House. So let's get to the White House press secretary, and we're going to show you what she said about it.
Follow-ups. You said the president has been briefed on the cocaine that was found at the White House. Is the White House conducting its own internal investigation?
This is something that's under the purview of the Secret Service. They're the ones who handle this investigation, so it lives in their purview, in their world.
And then just a quick follow-up on this type of tour. Can you explain to the American people who would have access to the West Wing on this type of tour and what kind of protocols are in place? So
look, when it comes to security protocol, that's something that the Secret Service certainly is going to handle, and so that is a question for them. When it comes to visitors to the West Wing, they come for many reasons. Obviously, we do have West Wing tours that occur here on campus. They happen in this particular past couple of days. They happen on Friday, they happen on Saturday and Sunday. The times that they do not happen is when there's a federal holiday, like yesterday, there was not a West Wing tour, and also when there's a large White House event. So I don't have anything more to share on the particulars. Again, when it comes to security, when it comes to anything of those types of protocols, that is something that Secret Service handles. Okay, Weijia.
Thanks, Karine.
And congratulations.
Thank
Should I call
you.
you President Weijia?
I appreciate it. Sure.
I was waiting. I was like, okay, that went over the head or got missed. One president.
And then this is so funny to me. It's we talk about how all unpresidential other presidents were, like Trump. They gave Obama a bunch of shit, even though I'm not a real fan of Obama. But all these other presidents in the past, I don't think not one president, can anybody put in the comment section, any president had any problems such as this, like cocaine being found, like actual drugs being found at the White House? That's like really bizarre to me. So we could tell that the White House is full of questionable individuals. They hired a trans person that's a kleptomaniac. You got somebody over the health organization or the health general that's a trans person that doesn't know what a woman is. You know, we got a bunch of whack jobs in the White House. Like, who's like really running the country right now? It, to me, is bizarre. And then they're laughing. Like, oh, she's making joke because that's their friend, their liberal friends. They're making jokes. And this is a serious, to me, it's very serious. Like, I did a stream a long time ago and I said, other countries look at us like we're clowns. We're a clown ass nation because we're putting value in and responsibility, or not even responsibility, or precedence of who we feel on the inside, then hey, our kids could read, or our military is short. We're not strong in the military anymore because we're lacking people to sign up for the military because they think it's a joke, or our people are so poisoned because the food that they're giving us, we're not even physically fit anymore because the government is allowing for us to get poisoned. But it's a joke. This is a joke. I don't see shit funny about this.
It's not my turn. It's not my turn.
Like, one president at a time, Weijia.
Eventually.
Incoming president, maybe.
We just great. I wonder if the cocaine episode has prompted the White House to ask the Secret Service to review its security protocol for visitors coming in.
So let them do their investigation. Again, this is under their purview. Let's see exactly what occurred and what happened. They're going to get to the bottom of this. They meaning the Secret Service, not going to get ahead of any changes in protocol or anything like that. Let's let the Secret Service do their job, which we believe and have all the confidence that they will get to the bottom of this.
This episode kind of shines a light on the fact that you can bring in illegal substances into the White House. So what's preventing a visitor from bringing in anthrax or something that's not magnetic into the White House?
No, look, Weijia, I totally understand the question, but it is under investigation. We're going to get to the bottom to exactly what happened. The Secret Service will, not us. And so we're going to let the Secret Service do their job. I'm just not going to get ahead of if or whens or changes. We just have to let the Secret Service do their job, which they are. You're welcome. Okay.
Thanks, Karine. Can you just tell us how the White House is assisting the Secret Service with this investigation? Have you made any White House officials available for interviews with law enforcement, for example?
Look, we're not assisting in anything. This is a...
Look, they know who brought it in. They have cameras at when you enter into the White House. They have cameras right there. They have cameras everywhere at every angle. We're talking about the White House, okay? So they already know who brought it in. This is what they got to tell us. They already know who brought it in, Hunter Biden did. So or one of his friends. Like, come on now. Like, what is or somebody from the Biden family? Because, like I said, we know they have a long history of drug problems. This is what they're telling us. This is what they want us to hear. She's saying, hey, let the Secret Service doing the investigation. No, it doesn't take that long to investigate, because all you got to do is pull the cameras over a certain amount of time and go through the video. Oh, that person left that stuff there. They didn't say they found it in the bathroom or anything. No, they found it where the checkpoint is. They left it where your cell phones and all that stuff and your keys go through the metal detectors. So they already know who brought it in. They just telling us, oh, we got to do an investigation. You know who brought it in? Hunter Biden. So I know I'm going back to that thing. Hunter Biden brought in the cocaine at the White House. Because why can't he? We let him not pay taxes. He doesn't get any type of jail time for not paying taxes or evading taxes, like you and I or any other people. He's above the law. So why can't he bring cocaine to the White House? His daddy's in the White House. So I'm not gonna play this whole video. I think it's just she's gonna say the same thing over and over again. Let the Secret Service do the investigation. But they don't need to do the investigation. Literally, the Secret Service, they know who's coming. They have a name on the roster. They know who left the cocaine. It's not a question about that. They probably knew who was going to leave the cocaine before they even left it. We're talking about the Secret Service now. They don't fall behind. And if they are, they probably need some more training. But we're talking about the elite of the elite. They're trained to protect the White House. They're trained to know people before they enter into the White House. They have to give a formal check before you go into the White House. This was personally invited guests. So you can't tell me they didn't know or they don't know who brought the substance in the White House. Anyway, I'm not going to harp on that. Let's get to our next story. Let me see what you guys are putting out on here. Matt Torrance. Yo, where's my cocaine? Debbie, if there's cocaine in the White House, where they find it? These days, it's all fentanyl. Well, Debbie, they said they tested it and they said it has cocaine in it. They didn't say whether it has some type of fentanyl in it. They didn't say that. Outcast, he put up here, can you stream on the Breakfast Club attack on presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy? I'm planning to do that tomorrow, so stay tuned. Tomorrow at noon, I'm planning to talk about how Black people, we seem like, oh, we want respect for ourselves, like the disrespect that we render to others. It's totally disrespectful to other races, not only just white people. Some Black folks have problems with white people, like they can't be around them. It's just like, oh my God, their existence is like their nemesis, like kryptonite. It's just so ridiculous to me. And we want respect for other races, or we want people to respect us, get, I guess, special treatment. But we are so disrespectful to other races, and we think that's okay. So I think the total disrespect on Vivek Ramaswamy when he was on the Breakfast Club, because he doesn't agree with them. And most of the times when they have GOP candidates interviewing, most of the time they don't know how to intellectually interact with some of these people because they're not prepared. They go on their same talking points because everything is racist. And no, you gotta be able to maintain the argument. Okay, why do you think this is systematic racism? Where are we at as people? If I was going to argue that point, okay, show me some numbers. What policies directly affected us that you think is systematic racism exists that's holding Black people down? And if you talk about policies, these are all liberal policies that actually holds or held Black people down. So anyway, we're going to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy. I didn't want to get off on a tangent on that. So let's talk about affirmative action. I want to get into affirmative action because people are so outraged about the vote was 62. We have 9 Supreme Court justices. Cannon, Chase, you talking too loud. We have 9 Supreme Court justices, and the vote was 6-2 to go against, hey, they can no longer use race in determining if admissions to college. Okay, you guys might not know there was a complaint, and I think it was a lawsuit against let me see if I can share this with you. I just want to show that this was this was filed in the Supreme Court of the United States back in August 31 of 2022, so last year. And what the argument was, it says Students for Fair Admission Incorporated versus President and Fellows of Harvard College. Okay. And it cited Harvard College and UNC. That's University of North Carolina. Let me make sure you guys could see this. And I'm just going to read this insert for you. I'm not going to go into detail, but this is just basically the basis of why they had to decide on where why or why not affirmative action should be used in admissions. Okay, so Harvard College and University of North Carolina are 2 of the oldest institutions of higher learning in the United States, and every year tens of thousands of people apply for it. That's just a summary. I'm just going off what I read before. Okay, so every year people apply for this, and very few get in Harvard University. Very few get in UNC. And how they do it is, so in this insert, it says, or this text, it says the question presented is whether the admission system used by Harvard College and UNC are lawful under the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Okay. At Harvard, each application for admission is initially screened by first readers. Okay, and that's a person who signs a numerical score to the actual application, and they go off of 5 ratings. Okay, and it's an overall point system. So it's actually 6 ratings: academics, extracurriculum, athletics, school support, personal, and overall. Okay, an overall composite of 5 other ratings that the first reader can consider, and it does consider the applicant's rates. Okay, so just imagine you get perfect test scores, ACT or SAT test scores. You have a slew of extracurriculum activities. You got a really high GPA because you're talking about Harvard and University of North Carolina. These are top universities. Like, you can't just, this is not a community college. It's not Macomb Community College where everybody's accepted. We're talking about top universities like University of Michigan, Yale. We're talking about these type of universities where you need to be all encompassed for these. You need to be the total package. Okay. So, and after Harvard's admissions subcommittees then review all applicants from the particular geographic area, these regional subcommittees make recommendations to full admissions committees, then take an applicant's race into account. Let me say this again. These regional subcommittees make recommendations to the full admissions committee, then take an applicant's race into account. When the 40-member full admissions committee begins to deliberations, it discusses the relative breakdown of the application by race. The goal of the process, according to Harvard's director of admissions, is ensuring that there is no dramatic drop-off in minority admissions from the prior class. Applicants receiving a majority of the full committee's vote is tentatively accepted for admissions. At the end of the process, the racial composition of the tentative applicants pool is disclosed to the committee. The last stage of Harvard admissions process, called the LOPE, winnows the list of tentatively admitted students to arrive at the final class. Applicants of Harvard considering cutting at the stage are placed at the LOPE list, which contains only 4 pieces of information: legacy status, recruited athletic status, financial aid eligibility, and race. In the Harvard's admission process, race is determinative for a significant percentage of all admitted African American and Hispanic applicants. This is what I'm reading. What I'm interpreting from just this couple of paragraphs is saying that, hey, we got a pool of people by geographical areas, and we look at these pool of people. We think we take the best pool of people. We don't know, because it's all subjective, right? Because it's an actual person taking these pool of people. And then we look, oh, this person, we don't got enough African Americans in here. Let's take some more. Or we don't have enough of minorities. Let's take some more minorities. And then they cut their list. But we don't got enough minorities, so somebody else got to be left behind. We got to cut some non-minorities to accept these minorities. That's what I hear from that. Is that fair? You guys put in the comment section, is that fair to you? To me, it's not fair, because I feel as if I'm at the top of my class and I've done the work, and you look at whether I check off, oh, I'm an African American, that means you're going to admit me. But that doesn't mean I'm the best. I'm better than my white counterpart, or maybe it does. Because if it does, I already made that pool, right? So you guys just let me know what you think about that. Okay, so now we reread that. So that was back in October. And so now they ruled on it June 29th, 2023. They ruled on it. They said, no, you can no longer use race as a determinative factor to admit someone in college. And people are outraged about it. People are outraged about that determination. particularly Justice, you know who voted against it, Justice Sotomayor, Justice Elena Kagan, and Ketanji Brown. They didn't like it. You know, they voted against it. You know, so, and then you have the response. I'm going to play the response from some of The View, because I thought it was pretty interesting. Let me see, am I sharing? I thought it was pretty interesting because you guys, you know, they just hired a Black president of Harvard, a Black woman. There's a Black woman president of Harvard. Was that an affirmative action hire? Would she be like, oh yeah, I was affirmative action hire? Then you always question, well, do you really deserve to get hired? You know, are you the best person for the job? And that's my only take of it. This is Joy Reid. We'll play her little clip first. She ran.
Well, let me just be clear. I got into Harvard only because of affirmative action. I went to a school no one had ever heard of in Denver, Colorado, in a small suburb. I didn't go to Exeter or Andover.
Yeah,
I didn't have college test prep. I just happened to be really nerdy and smart and have really good grades and good SAT scores.
Right.
But someone came to Denver, Colorado to look for me. A Harvard recruiter flew to Denver, and I met up with her at the Village Inn restaurant and did a pre-interview to get.
Look. And I don't have a problem with this. I don't have a problem with Harvard saying, okay, we are going to branch out and look at these smaller states because we're trying to look at top talent, because that's what employers do. They recruit at Black universities and they recruit top talent from these Black universities. But I don't think that's affirmative action. I think they're just using their resources to go out to these smaller cities and look for top talent that may not go to Andover, you know, these prestigious high schools. But that doesn't mean you're not top talent, though. I mean, that doesn't mean you don't have the grades to get into Harvard. I don't have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with is, like, I'm admitting my application in, and you're gonna disregard this other person application because you don't got enough Black people or Mexicans in there. Who cares? You know, are they top talent? And let's play the video.
Get to pull me into Harvard. I was pulled in, and the schools like Harvard and Yale that I got into affirmatively.
Yeah.
She keep on using affirmatively. I don't even think that's affirmatively. I think they were just like a scouter. A scouter looks for top talent, basketball talent, and they might not get the you know, be able to take or afford to take their video to send it in, or they don't have a person that's training them or whatever. But that doesn't mean they're not top talent. I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like, okay, Harvard probably was furthest thing on your mind. Let's say that. And you probably didn't even think you could get into Harvard. Or maybe you were, you know, able and capable, but you didn't feel like you could get into Harvard, but they were scouting for people. I don't see where that's affirmative action, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm not for sure.
Yes.
And it was literally not saying we're going to take an unqualified person and put them in Harvard. Yes. We're going to take a very qualified person who we would never know existed and put them in Harvard. That's how I got there. That's how Ketanji got there. That's how Justice Jackson, I should say. Justice Jackson got there. It's how Clarence Thomas got there. Right. But the minute I arrived from my majority black little town, Montbello in Denver, to Harvard, the first week or two that I was in class, my presence was questioned by white people. I was in this big conference class where some white students stood up and said, those students, the black students, they're only here because of affirmative action. It became a huge argument that we all ended up having. This was freshman year. I had never had my academic credentials questioned. I had never had anyone.
But why would you want to go through that? And now you got to prove yourself. Well, no, it's not just affirmative action. It's because I'm the top person, I could outscore you or whatever. I don't know, out academic you. I can outread you. I'm not for sure, So why do you want to go through that? And then you got to fight for your existence instead of and not to say affirmative action wasn't needed years ago, but is it really needed now?
Question whether I was intelligent until I got to Harvard. And it was a defining point of my experience there. It's why I really was one of the many reasons I was miserable there my freshman year. Yeah. You felt completely out of place and people keep telling you shouldn't be here. And yet, some of the people I went to school with were far less smart than me or the other black folk there. They got in because their daddy and their granddaddy. I went to school with somebody whose name was on one of the buildings. You're going to school with people whose names are on the buildings, who are third and fourth generation legacies, whose parents pumped money into Harvard to get them in. But that affirmative action is okay with this majority. They said that the people who benefited from slavery, their descendants, who are so far ahead of black folk in terms of opportunity that we'll never catch up to them. I don't care how many Oprahs we get. Those people's affirmative action is A-okay because those people can pay for fancy trips for them. Yeah. But you people who want to get in just because of your brains, but you're not from a legacy, too bad. You can't come in. Well,
I don't agree with that sentiment either. I don't agree with that. I think she's conflating the two arguments, saying, hey, you don't deserve to be there, versus, hey, my daddy's name is on the building. Well, why doesn't he deserve to be there? He paid to be there over and over again. So I just don't agree with that argument. And it could be a white person that doesn't come from a prestigious background and get into Harvard. But they have the academic scores and all the other things or metrics that they measure against. This is let's go over Sunny's. So Sunny, she's interesting. Sunny does, she's really pissed off about affirmative action. She's really pissed off about affirmative action, and she's probably like, literally, this is a blind reaction. I really don't know what she's gonna say, but let's listen to her.
Or I will say that this could have been worse. It's already horrible, worse. But it could have been worse because when you read the opinion, at least Justice Roberts concludes and says, in this opinion, nothing in this opinion should be construed as prohibiting, as Alyssa just mentioned, universities from considering an applicant's discussion of how race affected his or her life, be it through discrimination, inspiration, or otherwise. Race-blind admissions are not required. And I think that the lived experience of a white kid in Appalachia or perhaps on a potato farm in Idaho or in Brooklyn is different in this country for a black student, whether that black student be wealthy or not, because this country was founded on slavery. And Justice Sotomayor, I think, said it very well. She said, we live in a society where race has always mattered and continues to matter. So in my view, pretending that it is no longer an issue exacerbates the problem. If you look at a place like California, you had affirmative action dismantled in California in 1998. The very next year, 50% of blacks and Latinos were no longer in those institutions. It has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller since affirmative action was taken away. So that's a problem.
I disagree with that. I have to go back on what she's talking about, but you do have a lot of Latinos that's represented in California. We're talking about California now. I don't know where she's getting that from. And she's saying it exacerbate the problem. I don't know how I agree with that, because the problem with this whole race argument is everything doesn't have to do with race. I think it's more classism than racism. Hey, do you have the money for your mama and daddy to pay? Just like that one lady that ended up going to jail because she paid somebody so her kid could get in the top school. You know, parents bragging around, oh, my kid got admitted to Berkeley University. I forget what the lady's name is, somewhere in California. They gave Dr. Dre a whole bunch of crap because he posted online saying his daughter got admitted to Berkeley or whatever prestigious school in California. And everybody was like, oh, yeah, she really got admitted, Dre? Or did you pay for her admissions? So it's like, you damn if you do, damn if you don't. And Dr. Dre is black. So we're saying that race is the issue. And I don't think race is the issue. I think classism is the issue. And I believe Sunny Hostin, the way she talked, she act like she haven't used none of her privilege for her kids. And you're a black person. I know if I get super wealthy, I'll be using some of my privilege for my kids. So but it doesn't take away from, hey, we're going to accept people based off the merits of what they did in high school, their test scores, if financial aid. And I really think they should admit people based off their financial aid status. Okay, we're going to admit some of our donors. No, we're not some. We got to admit all of our donors or we're going to lose our donors. That's how we keep our college working, right? But if we're going to take a percentage, if you really want to get away from that classism stuff, and like I said, I really think it's classism. Okay, let's based off our financial aid. That's how you could say something is disproportionate. If you want to really affect change in things, and hey, we're trying to better our well-being and, you know, build up our wealth. If you're saying Black people are more disproportionate poor than white people, okay, then you could look at some and base it off of their financial aid. Admit so many people that needs financial aid. Give them academic scholarships if they qualify.
We should strive for is representation, but I think that we need a system that looks at the full spectrum of diversity more. So, for example, a Black student coming from a multi-millionaire family who everyone has an advanced degree in it, I wouldn't say should necessarily be given preferential treatment over a white first in his family student from Appalachia.
Well,
Yeah,
not
exactly,
Appalachian.
Joy, who has the grades as well. And what they do say in this ruling, and what we're going to have to watch is how it's implemented, it does not mean that students cannot, in their personal statements, talk about their lived experience with regard to race. I think that's incredibly important, and those are weighted more heavily now as many schools are foregoing looking at standardized tests. So I think there is still a way that the most vulnerable students and the most disadvantaged can have their cases heard, but I think we have to look at the full equation of, and actually there was one stat that this blew my mind. Harvard has almost as many students from the top 0.1%, not 1% income earners as from the entire bottom 20%. That's an inequity that I think has to be met.
And that's what I was just saying. And I look, I didn't even listen to what she had to say. This was a blind reaction. Hey, if you want to be more inclusive, you know, get people from all the spectrums of finances, you know, like I said, I think it's more a classism issue than a racism issue. You know, I think, hey, you're going to be more privileged or more apt to get accepted in these higher universities or prestigious universities if your parents are donors. You know, and then you could be whatever. You could have those mediocre grades. But we can't call this a prestigious university if we just accept everybody. You see what I'm saying? It's like, okay, we got to have some type of, you know, standard. Like, we can't, just accept everybody. No, there's some type of standard if you want to go to Yale or Harvard. I have a girlfriend that I worked with. Her son went to Harvard, got his chemical engineering degree, and I think he got his master's from another prestigious university. It might have been Yale. He was a vice president of like Dollar General, or I think it was Dollar General, and he flew around in his private jet. Black guy. And he grew up in Jersey. Was it affirmative action? He's my age. Was it affirmative? He's a little bit older than me. Was it affirmative action that he got into college? I know his mom was a single mom. His dad was like in and out of his life. But he excelled. He got a chemical engineering degree. So he had the grades. He was super smart. So a college probably sought after him saying, oh yeah, he had a high test scores. Let's let him in. Look, let's get this clear. We're not going to say colleges do not care about academics, because they want good academia. They want kids with high academics coming to their schools, because they want to say they want to be on their bragging rights. Oh, we have so many people that's at the top of their class, or we have so many people passing a bar exam. We have so many people doing this. 98% pass that goes to Yale or Harvard pass their bar exam. You know, it's a bragging rights. When I went to North Carolina A&T, our bragging rights, like if you pass the EIT, the engineering training exam, 88%, 89% of people who take that exam from North Carolina A&T pass that exam. That's a bragging right. And they like to put that on their admissions. Hey, if you're trying to be an engineer, you want to come to our school. One of their bragging rights, oh, we have the top producers of Black engineers in the country. That's why I literally went to North Carolina A&T. And let me be clear too on this. When I got admitted to North Carolina A&T, it was a conditional admission. I didn't get admitted to the chemical engineering program. I got admitted to the chemistry program. So it's like, okay, we're saying, and this was at a Black university. Like, so we're saying that, oh, we're not, it's all about race. It's not about grades. It's not about your academia. We got to figure out what we want. You know, are we going to say, oh, we want to apply to this top university or top tier university, but you're not top tier. And you cry and whine, oh, I didn't get accepted. But how many other people don't get accepted? But you would say, oh, it's racism because you didn't get accepted. No, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of white people that didn't get accepted too. So I think we try to say it's all about race, and I don't think that's the case. I'm glad they passed this ruling, because if we want to say, we're trying to say everybody gets the trophy and everybody doesn't get the trophy. You need to do the work. Anyway, don't want to harp on that. I've been on that subject for a long time. It's 108 right now in Michigan, and I just don't want to harp on it. You guys let me know what you think about that. I just think it's kind of, you know, unfair for we to say it's about race, and I think it's really about classism, you know. But anyway, so let's talk about the mass shooting in Philadelphia. They just had one over the weekend, and now you have people, and particularly the Black Lives Matter community. I'm still there. So I'm surprised they're showing their face after they mishandled $90 million, okay, and stole it and did whatever to it. But you do have the Black Lives Matter community or activists showing up regarding this mass shooting. This is the DA. He's given an update on the mass shooting. So we're going to look at that.
Okay, Jillian, thank you. We got some breaking news now out of Philadelphia. Followed this crime story from last night. They're shooting there in Philly. This is the DA, Larry Krasner, explaining what they know now. Let's drop on in.
As you may know, a lot of juveniles have been affected very directly and indirectly by this, and we appreciate his work, appreciate his being here. We have several members of the DAO's LGBTQ plus liaison group, some of whom are also victim witness coordinators, and they include Kelly Burkhart, who is a victim witness coordinator in the DA's office. In addition to filling this role, we have Asa Khalif. Mr. Khalif, I mean, frankly, I shouldn't have to introduce him. He should be so well known to many of you for his remarkable work as an activist and in many other ways. We also have the wonderful Sappho Fulton and Micah Thomas here on behalf of that group. Our Sheriff, Rochelle Bilal, is here. Senator Sharif Street of PA Senate District 3, who has done so much with his colleagues in the Senate to try to address issues of gun violence and issues of prevention around gun violence, is here. We have Dr. Zaf Qasim, Z-A-F, next name Qasim, Q-A-S-I-M, who is a medical doctor and emergency physician from Penn Presbyterian Medical Center. He is here with registered nurse Stephanie Horton, also works in emergency at Penn Presbyterian Medical Center, and both of these individuals have come here to tell you what it was like to treat many of the injured in the emergency room on the night that occurred, and to speak more generally about the reality that their everyday situation is gun violence victims coming in for years. Dr. Qasim has been doing this work at Penn Presbyterian for 8 years, but he has been a doctor for 22 years. We have with us Vofi Jabatet, who is the executive director of ACANA, that's A-C-A-N-A. ACANA is the Africa Cultural Alliance of North America. The offices of ACANA are very close to where this incident occurred, and Vofi Vofi is very well known. Some call him the mayor up here, the mayor of that neighborhood anyway. Vofi is very well known and played an important role here in assisting the DA's office in reference to one of the homicide victims, who is the son of an immigrant from Africa. He is present. We have Reverend W. Lonnie Herndon, senior pastor of the Church of Christian Compassion, who has collaborated with us many times, and among other things, is providing assistance to one of the families to deal with one of the most traumatic aspects of the aftermath of the shooting. We have Imam Kenneth Noordin of the Philadelphia Masjid, whose anti-gun violence work is constant, and we have against. So let me just say a couple words, because it really should only be a couple words before we hear more from community. As many of you are aware, there were a lot of people who came to the scene of this crime yesterday within several hours of the shooting itself. My office at that time had fully deployed our CARES team, our victim witness coordinators team, who immediately got in contact with the families of all of the victims of this shooting, with the exception of the one young man who had not been identified at the time. As soon as he was identified, they kicked into gear to address that. While we were out at the scene yesterday, we were accompanied by Leader Joanna McClinton, who is the Speaker of the Pennsylvania House, Representative Jordan Harris, who is essentially her right hand, the number 2 in the Pennsylvania House for the Democrats. Councilmember Catherine Gilmore Richardson was there. Councilmember Jamie Gauthier was there by phone. She was actually a couple thousand miles away, but wanted to know everything that was going on, and we were in close contact. Vofi Jabata of Akana was there as well. Reverend G. Lamar Stewart was there as well. And we were all struck by many things, but just one of those things was the bicycle, which is still there. I don't know if you saw it, but right at the corner where this all went down yesterday, 24 hours ago, actually 28 hours ago, there was a small bicycle, looked like a child's bicycle, which was sitting on that corner. And we were informed by some people who were there that that bicycle was dropped by someone, I presume a child, during the shooting. Hours later, nobody had touched it. Nice little bike. Hours later, nobody had touched it, as if they all felt they couldn't, that it was a memorial. It was some kind of a silent memorial. Well, it's there now. It's been moved a few feet. Maybe somebody came along, some child came along and moved it, and somebody else told them to put it back. But it's there now. And I think that fact, the desolation on those streets, the absence of cars, the absence of people, the curtains closed, the doors locked in that neighborhood, and also the comments from neighbors, the ones who did come out, about how close they themselves came to being shot and killed. Thank goodness I didn't go get that bag out of my trunk right then, because those are the kinds of things that we heard. Obviously, this office is 100% committed to the vigorous prosecution of this mass killer, and we will do justice in court with this case. But it's not my time to keep talking. It's my time to call forward some people who have, in my opinion, very important things to say. It is my pleasure, my honor first, to call forward Zaf Qasim, MD, an emergency physician from Penn Presbyterian, as well as registered nurse Stephanie Horton, to speak as much as they wish and as little as they wish about their experience and their thoughts about this incident.
Before we get to that, I want to share with you, because just to give you guys an overview of what happened. Now, so during July the 4th celebration, Independence Day, we had several mass shootings. Let me just share this tab with you. It says 4th of July mass shootings leave 20 dead, 126 injured. $20 people were killed and 126 people injured in 22 mass shootings that erupted across the country between the 5th, 5 p.m. Friday and 5 p.m. Wednesday, Eastern Standard Time, or 5 a.m. Wednesday, Eastern Standard Time. The one that we have on screen, this particular guy, he killed 5 people, and I think 23 was injured. And this was in Philly. You know, people are upset about it. But one thing that they're angry about is because it says over the holiday weekend in Philadelphia, when a man armed with the AR-15 rifle, a pistol, extra magazine, was wearing a bulletproof vest, a ski mask, allegedly went on rampage, seemingly firing at least 50 shots randomly at victims, according to police. A 15-year-old boy was killed, and it was like a neighborhood in Philadelphia, King Sessing neighborhood. A 33-year-old mother and one of her 2-year-old twins was injured by glass, and the other twin was suffering from a gunshot wound. So they arrested suspect 40-year-old Kim Brady Carricker of Philadelphia, and he appeared in court for arraignment on charges of murder and attempted murder, as well as aggravated assault, reckless endangerment, carrying a firearm without a license, and other charges. Carrying a firearm without a license, but they want to take your license away, your Second Amendment. Of course, carrying a firearm without a license, he bought it illegally. It's probably an illegal gun, but they're trying to harp on this Second Amendment right to take your guns away, you know. But the people that hold guns legally, they're not doing this kind of stuff. Police identified those who killed is Laish Merritt, 20, Demir Stanton, 29, Ralph Morales, 59, DeJuan Brown, 15, and Joseph Wama Jr., 31. These are all men. And sound like Black men. This country needs to examine its conscience and find out how to get guns out of dangerous people's hands. That's what the mayor said, Jim Kenney. A person walking down the street with an AR-style rifle and shooting randomly at people while wearing a bulletproof vest with multiple magazines is disgraceful, but an all too common situation in America. And this just goes on of like the different Black people, Black block parties that was held, and people were killed. One thing they don't say in these reportings, do you hear about all these white people getting killed? And now they're starting to use mass shootings in with Black people. Now they're starting to use the word mass shootings. Before it was just gun violence, or you didn't really hear them talking about it. But who's vastly affected by this? These types of shootings. Neighborhood block parties. Of course, you got some Mexicans. Aaliyah Gonzalez. And they got some Kailis Fagbemi. You know. Baltimore Block Party shooting, Chicago, Boston. You know, I bet you anything that these are all like in the black neighborhoods. But you know, you won't hear that. Okay. And Black Lives Matter, they decide to show their face and talk against it or talk about it. So let's go to Black Lives Matter. What they're saying, because I guess you know, they're saying conservatives are saying that this guy was wearing a skirt. I haven't seen that, and maybe you guys seen it. But they're talking against it. You know, they're saying it's spewing, sharing folder. Okay, it says at a press conference about the recent mass shootings in Philadelphia, a BLM activist says conservative media is committing verbal violence by sharing photos of the shooter wearing women's clothing because he was not really trans. I don't know what that means. He was not really trans, but if you got a skirt on, what are you? You just, a man just woke up and decided to put a skirt on. I don't know. And I don't know how true this is. If I gotta see, I have to do some investigation. But this is what they're saying. Okay, so let's play this
all as a city in our prayers. I want to discuss very briefly, because there is a nasty, violent, in terms of verbal and written words, spewed by the conservative press regarding the shooter. There are certain pictures that are circulating. Some of you may be aware of those pictures. Have the shooter in one picture as male and other pictures dressed in female attire or female outfits. They have used those pictures to attack trans people, and particularly trans women of color, which are extremely vulnerable to violence in our community. I want to set the record straight, because language is extremely important when we're talking about anything dealing with violence in trans community. The suspect or the shooter has not identified themselves as trans. They have only identified themselves as male. And that's the language that will be used until further developments, if they change that type of language. But the language that is spewed out by the conservative press is violent and is dangerous, and is targeting trans women of color. It's rallying the community to be violent. And we're better than that. We're better than that. We have our trans women and our trans men living in these communities, working, thriving in the communities. They are not killers. They are the most vulnerable to violence. They want to live their lives, and they have every right to do so. And we will not allow conservative bigots to use that type of language to attack trans.
Okay, so I just found what he was talking about. Okay, so he's saying this. Okay, this is just, I just filtered it in. So this is the guy that actually committed the shooting. This Kim Brady. And this is him. He has a bra on. He said they said he didn't identify as trans, but You know, he looks like he's identifying as something. You know, so people are calling him out for saying that. I mean, he has it on his profile. And they're saying this, they're the most vulnerable community, trans, as far as violence. And I think it's the other way around, you know. So they're saying that this is not true, but we have it on his social media. So I don't know where they're getting it from, or he's getting his information from, but you saying it's circulating, but it's on his social media website. So what are we saying here? That he wasn't trans? He's not trans, but he has a bra on. So what do you call that? And he has big earring hoops, and he's showing his duck lips. That's what women do. In Michigan, they would have got a $15,000 fine for misgendering him, because they just passed that. You misgender somebody, this is a $15,000 fine. It's against the law. So if you see that, you say, oh, he's a woman, trans woman. Oh, you misgender me. I'm a man. Well, why do you got a bra on? Like, come on. Like, what? I'm confused. You're always changing the goalposts. What playbook are we working from? So, I just don't understand why Black Lives Matter even is still in existence, and they're showing their face. Oh, now we're going to show our face to say something. It's like, you don't show your face any other massive shootings on black crime. You don't show your face. But when somebody say, oh, he's a trans shooter, you want to show your face. You want to speak out, because people are seeing what it is. People are really seeing the truth for what it is. And this is on Twitter. I mean, this is not Photoshop. This is the guy. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's pretty out there, but this is what the guy is. He seems pretty trans to me. So I don't know, how do you identify them? Oh, he did something wrong, so they're not trans? They're not with the LGBTQ. When they do something wrong and some people call you out for it, for mental illness, they're not part of your community. To me, that's ridiculous. What, you can't have it both ways. Just want to show you guys one more thing. As I mentioned, it was the Michigan law just passed. So Michigan House passed bill that could make using up to $10,000. I said 15,000 earlier, but it's 10,000. Under the new bill, intimidating an individual in regards to their gender identity can result in prison time or a fine. I'm laughing because they try to lock people up, because, like I said, this mass shooter, he had on a bra. BLM activists said, oh, he doesn't identify as trans, but they would get fined. If they was under Michigan law, they would get fined for misgendering him because he has a bra on. What man wear a bra? a trans man or trans woman. We can say trans woman. And they call it a recently passed bill in Michigan could you make it a felony to intimidate someone by intentionally using the wrong gender pronoun. So you can't insult people. It's a fine. It's a fine. Oh, you insulted me. But I could call you the N-word, bitch. I could use the B word. How I can use those words. But if I call you, I can even call you the F word. F-A-G-O-T, that F word. But I can't say, oh, excuse me, sir, and keep on using it. That is more extreme than calling you the N word, the B word, the other words. Like literally, are we insane? And Michigan is going downhill. It says has passed the bill HB 404074, a piece of legislation that criminalizes causing someone to feel threatened by words. Under the new bill, offenders of guilty of felony, they said it's a felony punishable by imprisonment, not more than 5 years, or by a fine of no more than $10,000. You know this is not normal. Because look, they all, not to say the LGBTQ community some people probably do get harassed. You know, if you in some neighborhoods, you can't be gay in some neighborhoods. At least back in the day you could. You'll get harassed or beat up or whatever. You know, that was the thing back then. And you know, you and your even in your family, they probably call you all kinds of names and stuff. But like now it seems like everyone is saying, oh, you're terrorizing me. Those are words of violence when you misgender me or use the wrong pronouns. I'm she, they, you know? So everyone could claim that you misgendered them. You used the wrong pronouns for them. Everyone can make that claim and you felt threatened or frightened or terrorized. The bill specifically addresses sexual orientation and gender identity or expression. This is a bunch of bullshit. And protect the class. According to the bill, gender identity or expression means having or being perceived as having the gender-related self-identity or expression, whether or not associated with the individual assigned sex at birth. So, you know, the guy, I know he's kind of mainstream, but he wears a full face beard, long hair, and lipstick. He has fingernails. He has fake fingernails. I don't know what his pronouns are. If you say, hey, sir, or him, or refer to him, you could talk to another person like him over there, even though he has lipstick, he will feel intimidated or threatened. And he could say, oh, you're misgendering me. Well, I'm confused, number one. You got on damn lipstick and a full face beard. So where do we draw the line? Like I said earlier, you're always moving the goalposts. I don't know what's going on. We don't have any playbooks. You're always changing the language. So what the hell are you talking about? And then you had the audacity to write a bill to police people language. Make no mistakes about it. Those advocating for this legislation will wield these policies as a weapon capable of destroying conservative expressions or viewpoints grounded to sacred, distinguished professors emeritus William Wagner told media outlet on the Daily Wire. I can't believe they passed this bill. They took out ethnic intimidation, a hate crime if a person maliciously and intentionally does any of the following individual based on whole and part or actual perceived characteristics of the individual listed under subsection, regardless of the existence of motivating factors. Use force or violence of another individual, cause bodily harm, intimidates another individual, damages, destroy, or defaces real property. Okay, I agree with this. Yeah, you shouldn't be doing this. This is actually against the law, but why are you saying sexual orientation or gender identity expression? I don't give a shit if your pronouns is they, them. And you're not going to police my words. If I say they, them, that's usually plural. I'm talking about they or them over there. Like, come on now. Oh, refer to me as they, them. What the are you talking about? You're one person. Except as provided in subsection. Okay. You know, they got all this. You should intimidating bodily harm. You're destroying people's property, but that's not what happens. What happens is somebody say, "Oh, you misgendered me." Like if you that one lady in California, she was coming out the spa. They was protesting. They plural people, LGBT trans people were protesting because somebody complained that they didn't want to see a man genital parts. He had two sticks and a stick and two dingleberries, and they didn't want to see that in the woman's bathroom at the spa. So they decided to protest. One of the older ladies that was coming out, she just was like walking along and they was attacking her. So it's okay for them to attack you. But your words are violence against them. It's okay for a man, let's get this is clear. These are men to attack natural born females. But when you say something, just words, it's a form of violence or an act of threats. They're active threats against you. It's a form of intimidation. So who are we protecting? Forget females. You don't care about females. You don't care about female birthing process. You don't care about females having, you want to say affirmative action. You don't care about female protected spaces, because all you're doing is you're making all these rules and regulations for trans. And then you're going to move the goalposts. Oh, you can't do that anymore either. So you want to police language. State Representative Angela Riga said, listen, the state of Michigan is now explicitly allowing the gender delusion issue to be used as a protective class. She called it delusion, and it is. So the House's Democratic controlled state is 59-50. It moves to Michigan State Senate for consideration, which it probably won't pass. This is her. This is the evil person that you guys got in office. I didn't vote for Whitmer, Gretchen. I didn't vote for her because I think she's an evil doer. She's an evil person. Screw all the small businesses. She don't care about small businesses. Democrats, they don't care about small businesses. If you're a Black small business owners, you should never vote Democrat. They don't care about you. They don't care about small businesses. All they care about is giving out free shit at your expense. You're going to shut you down. Oh, we don't care if, people breaking into your shop and keep on stealing a bunch of shit. They don't care about that. They're not going to solve the crime. They don't care. They care about you misgendering them. They don't care about, hey, you paid into taxes and you, as a small business owner, you got pandemic unemployment, paid into your federal or state unemployment tax, and they send you an invoice saying you got to pay it back. I'm just telling you, they don't care about that shit. They don't care about small business owners. And you as a Black business owner, you shouldn't even be voting for people like this. They don't care if you got the, what is it called? The EIDL loan. They don't give a shit. They don't respond to you. It's not their problem. But what they do care about is protesting and rioting. Well, and I can't say Michigan didn't have any riots or anything like that during the pandemic, but you protest, you shut every business down except essential employees, but I was able to still buy alcohol and hair weave. That's not essential. I was able to still buy hair weave and alcohol. Michigan lawmakers gave final approval to legislation banning conversion therapy for minors as Democrats in the state continue to advance the pro-LGBTQ plus agenda in the first months of power. The legislation will prohibit mental health professionals from trying to convert youth who are LGBTQ plus to heterosexuality and traditional gender expression. I don't know why they use that language. I just think, when you go to a mental health professional, something is inherently wrong with your brain. Okay. So when they say use the word convert, no. Why are you experiencing gender dysphoria? This is a dysphoria or dysmorphia, whatever the word is. Why are you experiencing it? That's something inherently wrong with your brain. You really need to talk it out. Why are you feeling this way? Do you know most people have this condition when they're going through puberty? Most people have this condition going through puberty because their hormones is everywhere. That's the natural process of finding out who you are. Some people can handle it and some people can't. So when they say conversion, I'm assuming they're using a word that's in their bill, conversion. But it's not conversion. It's just like talking through your problems. It's like, okay, it's natural to feel like, oh, I feel, some type of way in my body because I'm not used to it. My body's changing. It's natural to feel that way. And it's okay. But we're going to work through it. Now, when you work through it, the other side, and you still feel some type of way, you feel like your body doesn't belong to yourself. But let's work through the other side. Let's get through the transformation, which is called look, it's called the transformation of going through puberty. Okay. So it's like, let's work through the puberty. Then if you feel some type of way, okay, we need to do more work. Anyway, conversion therapy. I just hate that word. So that was it, you guys. That was it. I will be tuning in tomorrow at noon, so you guys stay tuned for our noon show, and we're going to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy and his interaction on the Breakfast Club. I think it's highly disrespectful, you guys, and we're going to talk about how highly disrespectful Black people is to like just the community. Robert, I'm glad when I was a kid, my parents didn't poke my eye out and cut my leg off because I told them I wanted to be a pirate. Robert, you're absolutely right, Robert. Look, my kids, they keep on walking around like they're dinosaurs. You know, it's like, come on now, we got to work through these problems. That doesn't mean, you know, this is a permanent thing. Like, okay, yeah, you want to be a dinosaur, but you're not. Okay, I'll allow you to walk around and go rah. Okay, that's cool. You can do that. My son, he's 9 and he still makes sounds at the table, and I had to say, "Oh no, we're not doing that." Like I don't know what kind of sounds, and I always ask him, "Okay, what sound are you making today?" He's like, "Oh, I just like sounds." Okay, but we're not doing that. And I have to tell him what's appropriate behavior. Okay. So, and like literally now he'll be 10. He walks around with no shirt on and just his underwear. And he tried to come downstairs at the dinner table. It's like, oh no, Cannon, you need to put your clothes on. That's inappropriate. So you have to set what's appropriate and not appropriate, and or they just they do whatever because you never set those boundaries or the standards of what is expected from them, like walking around naked. In the same son, he went through the phase of want to touch people's breasts. He's breastfed, but I went breastfeeding him at 7, and he kept on asking me when. He would always hug me and he would touch my breast. And I had to say, no, it's inappropriate to touch people's breasts. And he would literally ask me, okay, when can I touch somebody's breasts? Like, never. Like, until you're grown. Like, no, you don't touch people's breasts. But you have to set these standards up because kids don't know. And if you say it's okay, then what do you get? A little pervert going around touching people's breasts. My other son, he liked keeping his hands in his pants. No, get your hands out your pants. Because then he'll be going to school, doing his homework with his hands in his pants. Because I never corrected him on his actions. It's just common sense, okay? This is nothing to do with sexual orientation or anything like that. It's just common sense, just correcting your children to tell them, okay, what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. That's not nothing to do, oh, I'm taking away from what they're thinking. No, it has nothing to do with gender ideology. My son, he used to try to play with my makeup. And I said, oh no, only girls wear makeup. And he stopped doing it. Because he realized, oh, I'm not a girl. So I'm not going to do that. So it's just appropriate behavior. And you set up the boundaries for your kids. Anyway, I got off on a tangent. But Michigan and all these other states, they want to tell you what's appropriate for you and your children and how to police your words. They want to police what you're doing and what you're saying. They even want to police what you're saying to your kids. California, we just shared, California passed a law saying that if you don't confirm your child's identity, they have the right to take away your kids. So we got to get these people out of office. Do you pay attention to your Twitch stream? Yeah, if you write something in there, you know. This is from Nookie Thompson. Nookie Thompson, NJ. I'm assuming from you, from New Jersey, or not really. NJ, I don't know where NJ stands for, but hey, how you doing? And thank you for tuning in from Twitch. Actually, I'm streaming from 4 platforms. So, but I see all my Twitch streams and Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. I try not to do LinkedIn too much. It all depends on what I'm talking about because it's more business. Okay, that's what's up, New Jersey. Yeah, well, thank you for tuning in. I always got some opinions to express, but we got to stay abreast of what laws are going on and what people are trying to pass in United States. And like I said, they're trying to, the government wants to really control what you're doing, what you're putting in your body, what you're telling your kids, what you're teaching your kids. They're trying to really control that. And that's more communism, authoritarianism, socialism, all those type of isms. That's what they want. That's what they want. They want total control over your life and over your kids' life. So we gotta stay up to date. And Nikki, you said, what do you make of Trump's most recent all caps tweets? I didn't see his all caps tweets. Let me see if I could go on there right quick. Are you referring to when he was talking about the Bidens? I think I saved that. Let me see. This is I think this is a parody account. Let me share this.
I want to see Hunter ask these questions. Hunter, you know nothing about energy. You know nothing about China. You know nothing about anything, frankly. Hunter, you're a loser. Why did you get $1.5 billion, Hunter? And your father was never considered smart. He was never considered a good senator. He was only a good vice president because he understood how to kiss Barack Obama's ass. I want to see Hunter ask these questions. Hunter, you know nothing about energy. You know nothing about China. You know nothing.
I don't know if he was talking about that one, but that was hilarious. Let me see, Donald J. Trump. I don't see no all caps tweet. Oh, they're talking about the election. Secretary of State Kathy Bookovar also I don't know what that means. Legislative authority, allowing proliferation of unsecured drop boxes in Democratic areas. I'm assuming that that's for elections. Okay, let me see what you said. I'm sorry. Massive prosecutorial misconduct and currently taking place in America. The weaponization of law enforcement cannot be allowed to happen. Trump wrote on Truth Social. Crime and inflations are rampant. Our borders are open. Our elections are rigged. Our economy is in shambles. Our energy independence is gone. Our leader is mercilessly mocked. Our country is being destroyed both inside and out. Do the people of the once great nation even have a choice but to protest the potential doom of the union? I agree with this quote. I was just mentioning at the beginning of my live stream, we are mocked. Our country is a joke. We are mocked. We got people in our country that don't love our country, number one. Then some people just, there's no rule of law because they want to defund the police in all these other major cities where crime is running rampant because, hey, there's no policing. Then they're trying to bring all these social justice programs, and then we have social justice warriors, and then they're trying to police or take away all the amendments or constitutional rights like police and speech or taking your Second Amendment right. They're trying to do away with the First Amendment right. They're trying to censor press, independent press that disagree with their narrative. So you won't be able to have access to people like me or other people that doesn't agree with their narrative. So yeah, we are going to have to protest or look, especially if our elections are rigged. And I think our elections are going to be more rigged. I'm not for sure if the process was rigged prior when Trump got elected. I would like to think that, during the pandemic for the election process, I think it was sketchy. Because now you could vote by mail, which you were able to vote by mail, but everybody was voting by mail. And so if I could vote by mail, I don't need to prove that who I am, or who I am, or really, I could just say, hey, my mama is voting for certain people, so it's like, I agree with everything he's saying here, everything what Donald Trump is talking about. I agree with that. Trump himself voted by mail. Yeah. Well, he's the president, so he had to vote by mail. He's in the White House, but he lives in Florida. He's the resident of Florida, so he probably had to vote by mail. And it says, and if you have to prove, this is what you're saying. Okay, let me see. And okay, so, and if you have to prove who you are when you vote by mail, it's extremely hard to fraudulently vote by mail. I don't know how true that is because, I don't know if you ever heard of people getting Social Security benefits for dead people. These people that get Social Security benefits for dead people, because they didn't file the death certificate. So the Social Security benefits still coming. They will still get a hey, vote by mail. If they're already registered to vote by mail. You'll get a statement. I got like 5 statements myself in the mail. Me and my husband. Oh, vote by mail, send this in, vote by mail. I just didn't get one. They gave me like 5 or 6 different ones that they mailed to my house saying vote by mail. Even though I went to the office to vote. But one thing in Michigan, even if you voted by mail, we took the ballot into the office and she checked it off saying, hey, this ballot number is counted. So if you're speaking on that process, yeah, you won't get duplicate counts, but it could be fraudulent voting by mail, because if you didn't file the death certificate for your loved one, you'll get a vote by mail thing, and they did. So I don't know. Yeah, he lost the popularity back in 2020. But only reason why I say it's kind of sketchy because Biden's not popular, and how he get 81 million votes. Like, Biden got 81 million votes. Like, really? But anyway, would he have won? Trump would have won if, I don't know how many votes Trump got. I think he got 76 million. But Biden got 80 or 81 million votes. That's like in the history of the United States of all elections. He got 81 million votes. That's like really insane to me. Anyway, I'm not going to harp on that. You know, what's in the past is in the past. I don't like dwelling on the past. I like talking about what we're going to do in the future. Like I said, you know, presidency is one thing, but these elected officials that's making these rules up and these laws, they passing these crazy laws, policing your speech and telling what your kids supposed to be doing in your household. That's what we like really should be focused on. All right, you guys. So I'm signing off. It's 2:00. Like I said, stay tuned for tomorrow. We're going to talk about some election stuff and 4th of July stuff again, and where we're at in the country. We're particularly going to be talking about Black America. And I'm sending all my good to you. You guys, thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, and share on this video. And I will talk to you tomorrow.